I'm going to show you how to take a piano part and get something you can actually use or at least read, because most of the time you end up with something that looks like this. But if you do what I have here, you should get something that looks more like this. I'll show you how to do that now. Basically, what you should do is take all the notes, that's Ctrl-A, and maybe select like half beat, okay, for the magnet. There's actually a shortcut. Just do Shift-D, which is going to discard all durations. And it's just going to do a whole bunch of eighth notes. And then while you're on half beat or quarter beat, go ahead and do Control-Q to quantize. And it's just going to slap everything on the grid. Now, certain special parts where you have triplets, it's not going to be correct, but you just have to deal with that. Okay, so now that all the notes I ever played in the whole piece are small and are on the grid, I'm going to export my MIDI. And I just go import MIDI. I guess it puts it on the end of the piece you're doing. Wow. Okay, so what I brought in is here. The stuff before this I did by hand, and I was like, I just can't take it anymore. The issue is some of where the notes are on the hands won't be correct. But I think we can agree that this piano part is at least readable to a human being compared to... Okay, it's not ideal, but I can at least now look at the notes and tell what the notes are, right? So now what I do is I go through and I edit this to get rid of things that shouldn't be there. One technique you can use to fill in things, if all your notes are too short but they're in the correct place on the grid, one thing you can do is, like, maybe I've got this and I don't want the rests, for example. What I can do is I can go right, edit duration, and then extend to next note. And it'll kind of tie all that stuff out for me, right? That's one technique you can use if you want things to just simply look differently, right? We have to deal with some of the hand sharing things where some of the notes appeared on the lower staff when I didn't want them down there, right? So click here, insert, and put that in. And then I take that and I delete it. I can take this and I can go right, edit duration, extend to next note, and then you get a more natural looking rhythm there. So that's a technique for that. You could go through the whole piece, clean the music so that everything is separated properly, and then select everything and say extend to next note. And that's one technique for that. Have to be careful when you do the extend to next note, because like up here, I don't want to say extend to next note for all this stuff, because then it's going to look, I mean, it's not the worst, right? But if I'm writing something where I expect the player to separate notes, I need to make sure it looks that way. Okay, so I'm going to stop here, but the only thing I wanted to show is that the technique is in your DAW, shorten all the notes, and then quantize them, export them as MIDI, and then Dorico just reads those notes much better. There's a lot of work to do afterward, cleaning the notes, but it is much less of a nightmare compared to the extreme overlapping and the ties and everything just being really messed up. This is far less stressful to work with. In the other situation, you're essentially in hell. In this situation, you just have some, normal looking notes in front of you to fix, and that's a way better place to be, and it'll make you sane.